There we go. You hear me?
Okay, better. Yes,
All right.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so to finish the story, since IG doesn't want me to be great with my story, the I look over, my sister's driving, my dad's in the passenger seat. They were just as surprised that they almost hit me as I was that they were there. They
Hmm.
had driven the car down to surprise me and didn't know where I'd be, had a good idea of, where it was, where my, I think that I had already gotten a surgery that year. And so my dad knew knee surgery for soccer. And so it was just crazy because it was like, it was the exact car that I wanted. We hadn't had much discourse about it. Um, and it almost ran me down. I manifested it so hard.
Tell you
So,
what,
yeah,
the power of working with the quantum, quote unquote, quantum field, but this power of attraction that also the woman has. Have you read much about like womb wisdom?
I
And
haven't. I just got a book, though,
yeah,
that speaks to that.
so it's like there's a saying that you could literally pull in a star if you wanted to, if you understood the mechanics of that frame that
I
you're in.
believe it.
Yeah.
I
So
believe
like
it.
yeah, and a lot of what people are utilizing in terms of manifesting, ceremonial manifesting, these are things that have been, part of our culture. It's just that what we're looking
Exactly.
for, we're not we're not trying to we haven't been trying to manifest the same things. It's been mostly
Right.
about harmony and connecting and keeping a balance. And
Yeah.
so,
And that's why I think it's so important to have some mechanisms and some things put in place that allow us to continue on with the original ancient teachings rather than the trash we're being taught currently. So
and
yeah.
I think it's there for us, and we'll take it into where we want to go, into the timeless, because a lot of, these different things that we get into classes about, they're just constructs, right? So, I mean, looking at this from the stage of a matrix, like we talked about, it's cool to be love and light, but I was on another discourse last night, me and my partner, two
Mhm.
other two other couples, great hosting from South Africa. So it was like kind
Mhm.
of, we got Australia, we got the States, and we have Johannesburg, right? And
Mhm.
and yeah, I believe both couples were in Johannesburg too. So we were speaking to kind of like where do we want to go with all these discussions on racism and other things that are,
Mhm.
like ailing us as a society in terms of wanting to construct something new. Where do we
Mhm.
go? Are we just talking? Are we just going to be up here? Because I'd
Mhm.
like to stick my hand in the toilet, literally and
Mhm.
figuratively. Like what I mean is, yes, it's cool to be all up here, but there are
Right.
things that need to be done. There are people that are willing to
Exactly.
get their hands dirty, per
Exactly.
se. And so my question was, are you guys going to get your hands dirty? If not, let me know.
Mhm.
But you need to know that's what I'm going to do. And
Mhm.
getting my hands dirty just means working with the soil, like working with the
Mhm.
content. So
Mhm.
I don't want to be off in the. I lived in Bali. That's home.
Mhm.
That's a home for me. Well, it's Hawaii,
Mhm.
right? And I
Mhm.
get to experience some communities out there, and I really appreciate like many of the things that I've picked up because they've helped
Mhm.
to guide me back to myself. Living in Hawaii was like, oh, I've been in, the shy, well, Evanston, right? And like you living in Florida and living in these different places, but to live in a place that's an island,
Mhm.
to go back to your island roots without knowing anything about it and be like, wow,
Mhm.
and to go to the land and to have food come off the trees and to say, you know what, like all this stuff that I've been shooting for is not really what I want. You know what I'd like?
Mhm. Mhm.
I'd like an aki tree. I'd like, they
Mhm.
call it ulu there, but I'd like breadfruit because I've lived off of it. I went off
Mhm.
grid one time in the Big Island where I
Mhm.
took my decided, okay, I got an RV, a Ford F-350, a 740 Beamer because I always wanted a 740. I'm old school like Steve-O, and I shipped it
Mhm.
all the islands. Then I shipped it to the Big Island. Then we were on a
Mhm.
property, and then I started working the land.
Mhm.
Like every day I was working the land. So to get a connection with the land, I bled my blood and that land, that red dirt, just like the red dirt
Mhm.
of our eyes, all connected.
Mhm.
Right. And so part of what I've decided to deconstruct is people are telling me I should want certain things. I had to get in touch with what I want
Mhm.
personally and what's valuable to me. So when we speak of intention, well, where we put our attention with intention pulls energy and manifestation in that direction. And so if we're so spread and dispersed in all these different areas, Stephen's really great for this. He's like, bro, what are your three? It was important for me to sit with him and go through conversations as I was putting my mind back together, because he helped me to tune into another part of me. And I'm like, bro, you're really disciplined. And he'll be like, man, remember you helped me with this before. I'm like, well, then we must have got it from dad, because we argue with who helped who. But like, I really appreciate, the discipline of my brother's mind and his actions, and not getting
Absolutely.
too first. So, I've got my book, right, which is like the art of wanting you, which is a book to guide intentions and activation. But then I'm reading the water book. I've got a repair manual. I'm reading books on racism. I'm reading books on emotional BS, psychology, economics, but all of it is for one intention, which is to be able to show up, because all the areas that affect us in this system affect us in the system of intimacy. They affect us, there's an economics to relating with another person. There's an education that comes in line. And so how are all those affected within even getting to know yourself? And then, I think intention is very important. And when we're talking about manifesting things, you're always manifesting what your intentions are.
Always.
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 Great to become aware of it. And this is a great forum to just bring that up and ask the
Yeah.
question, are you aware? How do you get aware? Ask these
What is
questions.
your battery fueling?
What is your battery fueling? Magnificent.
Right. And so I guess and we don't have to wrap it up, but to bring it full circle right now with what's the loudest voice in your head and how do you tweak the volumes? There's a couple things that we've touched on, from, setting your intention to quieting your mind. Help me out. There's a couple things. Awareness.
The mind-body connection as well, like
Yes.
gut, heart, mind, etc.
Right. So an intention that I like to hold, and I guess it's also a mantra, is to always hold a space for love, gratitude, and compassion.
Yes.
It's just, I'll say this always. I mean, I think that it might sound contradictory to my, rebel with any cause, but above all, love, like genuinely above
Right.
all, love. It's very easy for me to love people. Like it's the ability to see yourself in others, and become that, service to others versus service to self, where
Yeah.
you are serving yourself through serving others. And I've always felt very strongly about that. So love, compassion, being able to say, and this is, what we talked about a little bit earlier, where there's times where I've struggled because it's like, I want to give you, my ear. I want to be compassionate with you. I want to wrap you up and like make you,
Mm.
like protected and whole and loved, and not that I can make you feel whole, but that that somebody else sees you as whole and is going to
Beautiful.
operate with you on that level. And however, that compassion also, morphing into, okay, so I don't have to get that for myself. I can just go to her and she'll give it to me. And,
Mm.
being like, where's the balance? Where's the balance
Mm-hmm.
here? Because I'm feeling like I'm tipping a little bit.
Mm.
And so adding wisdom to that compassion and that love, and setting up, to your point, of your energy, is something that I'm working on. I'm working on being politely, directly, um, distant if need be. I don't know, exactly the way to
Yeah,
say
I
it,
get it.
but
I, I spent a lot
just
of time
yeah.
solo, so I mean, I feel what you're saying. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh my
interrupt you.
gosh, no, all good. Being solo is my jam. Like I love, people that I like and love. But like it's endless. Like what you can do with yourself is, I don't know what boredom is. I just, I don't get the
Yeah,
concept. I
I
don't,
know. Yeah, that's,
I don't
have
understand.
you human design by chance? Human design? Have you heard
Come
of it?
again?
Have you looked into something called human design
Mm-mm.
or path number by chance?
No.
Okay, when we have a private talk, we'll just like do a little journey to this. I'm curious to see. I have a human design. It's called projector, and so for my
Mm.
human design, I'm able to peer into people's energetic field. It just naturally happens. So
Mm.
it's best for me to sleep away from people because while I'm
Mm-hmm.
sleeping with people, I'm still like it's part of the whole empath thing too, right? Being able to
Mm-hmm.
feel. So consciously when I'm awake, of course, I can be like, this is going on with you. I know how to close off my auric field, and
Yeah.
I tell people how to do that, and as well as just allow for certain things to flow in, but that's taken cultivation and time, right?
Yeah.
And at the same token, sometimes when you're sleeping, you got all type of things going on around you, and look at how we've been set up, and
Yeah.
say in the projects and everything, where you box everyone, and you've got all these different energies, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you into your space, and you have no idea of what's going on. And
Yeah.
so to not get too caught up in that, but to, I guess, navigate my speech to what you've requested. The loudest
Mm-hmm.
voice in my head now is the voice of me, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that means. I can name it and say Ezriyah's voice, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not fully Ezriyah. I
Mm-hmm.
have the voice of my ancestors that I welcome on a daily basis in terms of prayer and petitioning. Sometimes I go running and go for a jog, and then I invite them to come with me, and I feel them joining me.
Mm-hmm.
On my journey with the plant medicines and my journey of healing, it was a guided journey. My grandmother and my mother spoke to me
Mm-hmm.
while I
Mm-hmm.
was sick and directed me towards Africa. And then when I went, it wasn't until after I left and I did the African ancestry DNA test that I found out that
Mm-hmm.
where I went to was actually where our father's line comes from 100%
Mm-hmm.
and to the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to get healing from where this body comes from, just this body, because that medicine took me far beyond this body in the navigation
Mm-hmm.
of my consciousness. So I hold some
Mm-hmm.
beliefs that are experienced. Maybe some can say a hallucination. Who knows? Whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I hold to them. So I'm navigating the rest of this journey with my voice, and I'm willing to let it oscillate. If it wants to be really loud, fine. If it needs to get quiet, I'll listen harder so that I can hear
Mm-hmm.
it. How to do that
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Honoring my ancestors has meant making peace in my body for the feminine and masculine. There's things that my mother didn't have the chance to do. So what your ancestors will do, this is just in my experience, they'll
Mm-hmm.
reach out to who listen. And some may try to control you, and so you have
Mm-hmm.
to discern. But others
Mm-hmm.
may ask if you can help fulfill certain things through you because they exist within you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so when you honor them in that way, living and deceased, well then you're able to make a change for them. And when I was a Hebrew, you could call it zedekah, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
tikkun, the
Mm-hmm.
repair. Then the Zedekah is like accumulating a certain merit. Some people may call it like karma, helping closing karma loops in this
Mm-hmm.
frame. And
Yeah.
the other voices are the voice of I listen. I actually allow myself to listen to the nonsense. I don't want to keep saying nonsense. I allow myself to listen to what is occurring in the field. I've got
Mm-hmm.
my ear to the ground, as they would say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to the train tracks and I'm not running away from it. Some people don't want to hear what's going on because they think if I put my attention on everything that's going on, it's going to start happening to me. Well, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
look at all the stuff that's happening. I am
Mm-hmm.
in that conversation last night that I had. I mentioned that, look, I am not divorcing myself from the struggles of everyone else around me. Even if I'm not going through them in the same way, I see people
Mm-hmm.
as I see the white supremacist that was on Duke's neck also as a representation of me, to where I ask,
Mm-hmm.
how am I standing on my own neck and
Mm-hmm.
suffocating? And people are doing it. People are killing themselves on a
Mm-hmm.
daily basis because they don't want to practice self-control and they don't want to
Mm-hmm.
see that what they're putting into them is. So we're like in an insane society where we're all committing suicide and committing
Mm-hmm.
homicide based on how we deal with ourselves and the people around us. And I would like to stop. And so I'm starting with myself first, the man in the mirror.
And that, I mean, it's always a apropos time for a Michael Jackson lyric, number one.
Yeah.
So good on you.
Hey, right on.
And two, yeah, I mean, that's a tough thing to do. Shout out to Jeanette. Hey, girl.
Aloha, fam.
Uh, um, that's a difficult thing to do for anybody is to examine yourself. I mean, this quarantine, I think, has been, I mean, it's been a blessing and it's been a curse for some people. For me particularly, blessing. I just uh, I have had the, and I'm on vacation now too because I needed some time, and my company has unlimited vacation, and I'm like, I should take it. I'm not
Oh,
typically a vacation
that's
person.
awesome.
I know, right? My dad was like, when I told him, he was like, "You are taking?" I was like, "Yes, Daddy. I understand that I gotta rest sometimes." And
Yeah, good for you.
so
Honor that body.
I'm,
Yeah.
yes, and it's been amazing. Like I've been able to dive deeply into my own head. I've been able to connect with people. I've been able to explore some of the intimacy that we've discussed. Um, I've been able to see myself in a, like I've always considered myself kind of introverted. Um, and it's always a shock to people because they're like, "You're a loud ass," and I'm like, "Yes, me." And so now, I'm allowing myself to be, however it is that I want. If one day I'm an introvert and the next day I'm an extrovert, or omnivert, or whatever you want to call it, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It
Good.
is what it is. And so I mean, it hasn't been that way for everyone, however. And, there's some people that I've realized that I've spoken to that, we've had intimate conversations, and some really tough things have come out. Like, ultimately, I don't like myself. That's a tough thing to hear, when someone that you respect and you value is like, I don't have it for myself. I'm not rocking with me. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I mean, that's actually the first step. So, I mean, that's the hardest part is saying, there's things about myself that are detrimental that I'm doing that I don't like. And so using that as a catalyst to say, all right, well, what else am I kind of pushing to the back that is actually chasing me and is jumping on my back, and I'm carrying it, even though I'm thinking that I'm just suppressing it and pushing it down.
Hmm.
So it's a hard thing to do. And I think that now has been, an ideal time to, and it's not easy for everyone. I want to keep saying that because I've had discussions with friends who have been like, Akilah, you don't understand what it's like to, not have a job and not have any money and to be homeless and have a family to feed. And no, I don't understand what that's like firsthand. I can feel it and I can receive it, and I can empathize. At the same time, my advice doesn't change, right? The advice, if you're asking for my advice, is you have to make the choice, the decision that this is no longer your reality. And that's a tough thing to do as well. However, whether you are a millionaire and stuck in a terrible situation, or if you have $10 and are stuck in a horrible situation, the answer is the same, and that's to go inwards, and that's to claim what it is that you're going to then manifest so that it finds you. Whatever you put out, it is the universe's job. It's how it works. If you proclaim it, the universe brings it. I've seen it just time and time again personally, and not like any like small, it's like scary. It's like, oh, okay. Words
Yep.
are power. Definitely words are power. Let me be. It's to the point where I don't even say people's names who I don't care to see because it's that strong. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, such and such. And it's like, okay, hold on. Let's cleanse. Where's the sage? Because it's like, they will show up.
Yep.
And so, in the same token, relationships and whatnot, you have to understand and you have to learn what it is that actually serves you and what's a good match for you, because you could just be saying, oh, I wanted this, I wanted that. And it's like, all right, you just might get it. You
You
probably
gotta
are going to get it.
the character that's beneficial. I think the highest aspiration is character, and so that's a journey, because character is something you can recognize in a person, and you have the responsibility to work on with yourself. But two, it's something that can be cultivated as well.
Yeah.
So if someone has a bit of a character that you think is a good character for you, you can always navigate slowly and see how that unfolds. You know,
Right.
and it's ultimately what gets put to the test. I
Yes.
think in terms of magnetism too, something to keep in mind, again, when we speak about being healthy, is healthy energetics, stronger magnetism. And so it's one way that a man cultivates his magnetism is by not having too much sex. Or
Mhm.
learning how to have sex. You're not ejaculating all the time because that's your life force energy. So you
Mhm.
deplete that body, your energetics are mostly filled in, like, focused on replenishing. But if you're filling yourself with the nutrients and the vitamins that you need, and then you're not wasting your seed or your energy in another way, you can still have pleasure, but not like just wasting, because you waste
Mhm.
in one way and you see yourself wasting in other ways as well.
Mhm.
And so those are all other things to consider in regards
Yeah.
to like how you navigate your magnetism. It's not just the intention and the thought, but it's also what you do in the physical and what you do with the frame that is pulling things in. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'll open it up to you. I've, exhausted my question list for today, at least.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I just for today. Well, I mean, what I wanted to do today, especially if that's your first live, is I wanted to go live. Like, just give as much time for conversation and support. 'Cause I love what you're putting up on your page and where you're coming from. I really enjoy and appreciate our conversations. And it's just good to be, connected with soul fans, because I
Yeah.
do spend a lot of time alone. So I go off into my hermit phase, and I come out and I'm like, oh, there's no one around because I haven't been authentic. So
Right.
it's been nice. It's been nice to be in a place where I have the time and space to actually connect with folks, not just, for work on the service tip,
Mhm.
but like just to be a human.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you
Um,
having me on as well.
and I think that, nothing is by coincidence. I think that, we manifested each other's presence at this very moment in time for a reason. And so, I'd like to continue to explore what that looks like as things roll on.
I'm open to it.
Um,
So
do you want to just quickly kind of tell everyone the products that you are using, what's around your neck,
yeah.
your website?
Mhm. Okay, where do we start? The product that I'm using around my neck is called a Healy device. It's called Healy Wearable Health, and this is a microcurrent electromagnetic frequency administering device. So this thing, typically we're surrounded by power lines. Now we've got the 5G talk up and all the other things that are in our environment. Now I work with the bioenergetic field, which means this is actually working in your fifth and sixth dimensional body. We have more than one body. You have this physical body, and you have other dimensions of you that are less dense. And so by law of correspondence, you can work with a less dense version of your body and see results. Just like you can something pops up in the construct, which is a projection of yourself, and you can say, okay, what is the meaning of this owl? Like, there's just many different ways of navigating this place, and so this is one of them. So I do energy work with my hands. I use tuning forks, and I use a Tibetan singing bowl. So with the singing bowl, I'm also always working with the water in a person's body that holds memory. I'm working with your chakra systems that are your energetic centers that are there's more than just the ones that we talk about. So I'm able to feel into that and kind of just kind of get things moving a little bit. And I'm still honing those skills. That's just something that comes natural.
Hmm.
And so with um, this instrument here, this Healy, well, there's already frequencies that are known. This has been used in Europe. This just recently became available in the States, but I had been looking into it for a couple of years, a larger project with the Time Weaver. So this works with, I'm going to throw these up, with the quantum states. It's got what's called a quantum mirror. That's essentially AI. It's able to read your individual physical setup and administer the frequencies per whatever program that you get that will affect healing. But because we're in the States and we deal with the FDA, they don't want to say healing. So it will affect
Hmm.
them, right? And and I've been using it to treat the people in the household. And where this technology is going is everything is frequency. You don't need to eat. So eventually, what they're going to make available, I'll just say it because I know what's going to happen, is
Hmm.
you'll have frequencies for different vitamin deficiencies in your body and be able
Hmm.
to work with yourself. So I'm just first wave of this new tech, and I'm also connected with the company, as
Hmm.
multi-level marketing. But I
Hmm.
bought this for my family to work on family members because the
Hmm.
people are too scared for me to lay hands on them and relax.
Hmm.
So I can
Hmm.
just connect these anodes and set it for an hour and allow for some of the same healing. And I can
Hmm.
also do energy work on top of it. So that's one
And how
thing.
much
The
does
healing.
something like that cost?
This one costs $500.
Mhm.
but they go all the way up to $2,500. So I got
Mhm.
a discount at the next up package because I was one of the first people to get one, and I
Mhm.
think it's a good investment in terms of being able to treat yourself and the whole family. You can
Mhm.
get one per
Mhm.
household or one individually, and so this is the Healy. I have a link to it on my link tree, right? And information and videos, as well as just one can connect with me.
Mhm.
The other product that I'm involved with is Secret Energy, which is also like minerals, vitamins, crystals. The Secret Energy people are, I mean, I want to say it's at least black created, so to say, or, created by some folks who are outside of the country who've been really
Mhm.
getting into esoteric understandings. And so
Mhm.
with Secret Energy, you have a knowledge body, you have a school of metaphysics, but you also have items, like the Hydrolux, where you can hydrogenate add extra carbon and hydrogen really to
Mhm.
your water, works with the building blocks of the person. So I, cool. Oh wait, so we got the Healy for
Mhm.
the biofield, and then we
Mhm.
have for your like minerals, nutrients, and some educational things, and a wellness guide. We have
Mhm.
Secret Energy, and
Mhm.
that's all on the link. If you go to my link tree on my
Mhm.
Insta, you'll find links to that. And then
Okay.
we
Link
have
in bio.
link in bio. I also have books that I publish, my poetry books. The most recent one that I'm, creating a program for intimacy with is called
Mhm.
The Art of Wanting You. And so
Mhm.
it's poems, meditations, it's intention setting. It's essentially an initiation and a medicine journey, you know. And that's on the link if you go into Rites of Passage Literature. And then we have my signature Soul Deep Intimacy Sessions. And that
Mhm.
is what I've been spending most of my time with because it's giving me the human interaction and that opportunity to really do work with a person. It's not me teaching you. It's us navigating together and you being able to express yourself in your truth. Now, the big thing with intimacy is people, you can get in a relationship with someone, but there's always something you're not trying to tell your partner, right?
Mhm.
But the more things you keep from the person you love, that's the degree of separation between you two. And so to
Mhm.
be in a space where it's safe, sometimes you just need to experience the safety of sharing something you've never told someone with someone, right?
Mhm.
And then saying, oh, I can do this. And also energetically, I bring an activation. So that
Mhm.
activation of experiencing that ability to trust yourself, to trust someone else, will
Mhm.
translate into your relationship. That's the inner
Mhm.
work of
Mhm.
the intimacy and soul session. But then we're
Mhm.
also able to dive into purpose and able to dive into the different areas of intimacy that you're most interested in. And then we set a
Mhm.
path and I walk with you on the path. I witness
Mhm.
you on the path and you take that. So one session is still powerful, but I think sessions, they should like, and let's tailor it so that you can see the results. I can witness the results with you, and then I can be there for the integration. I think that's really important in any
Yeah.
coaching. Yeah. So soul deep intimacy sessions.
Got it.
Yeah.
Hey, NA.
Hello.
Um, I love NA. I've met her not recently. It's been about a
Uh,
year. She's awesome. Um, so do you tailor those soul sessions per depending on what they need, or you say, okay, well,
yeah.
it costs this much for 6 sessions, but if you need this, then
I give
pay
them a
extra
discount.
that?
Yeah. I have one that I choose per single session, and then I have a rate for, which is discounted for like the long sessions, and then I'm sorry for my family members. There's a family discount. So you qualify for the family discount because you are family.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh
I'm not
oh
sorry
oh.
about that, but so and that's
So
just
okay, well
from my
that's
ancestors. Yeah.
that's fantastic. I appreciate you. You are deep like the ocean, boy.
Thank you. I try to
Yes,
connect.
it's
Yeah.
always so good to connect with you and to talk to you. We'll definitely do this more often. I think that there's a lot of good stuff that we can bounce off of each other and absorb and build with each other. If anyone has any questions for either one of us, now is the time.
Yeah. Please
Um,
jump in.
but so we'll watch that for a second. But so what does the rest of your day look like? Do you have a couple more? I know
I
that
have a
you have that
session
energy.
for sure later, maybe in an hour or so, and then I have just got a repair manual from my. I converted a van. That was my surf van going, so I finally got the repair manual. So I'm just gonna just look at a
Hmm.
couple pages. That's my leisure. I'm gonna continue.
Okay.
I'm studying. I'm
So tell
studying
everyone where you
physics.
are right now,
I'm in Santa Clarita,
geographically.
California, and that's in LA,
Hmm.
close to LA, not in LA. I'm like an hour from LA. I'll probably be in San Diego in times
Hmm.
to come, and hoping for some work in Long Beach if all that comes down in the other field of environmental
Hmm.
cleanup. And
Hmm.
then, like, so I mean, essentially, I'm international. I think it's always going to be like that. I'll probably end up in Australia for a bit, with my
Hmm.
partner, and Bali,
Hmm.
Hawaii, and then the
Hmm.
States. But I'm not going to lose touch with the States. I want to eventually connect with more people who are doing holistic healing, say in
Hmm.
Detroit, Chicago, back in the Chi, back in St. Louis, back in like, I want to work with a lot of us, so to say, because I work with
Yeah,
everyone. I have
sure.
clients in Germany, I have clients in South Africa, in
Hmm.
Australia, in the States, still in Bali. And so the coaching I really enjoy, and but I'm a healer at heart. What I wanted
Hmm.
to go to school for was to be a doctor. I'm glad I didn't end up getting indoctrinated, but I still appreciate.
Sure.
And so the healing modalities that have come across my path as ancestrally in the body of a healer for my family, whether they
Hmm.
choose to take advantage of that or not, now I'd like to translate to my greater family, which is you,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
are women, men. I'm doing a
Hmm.
lot of work with women who've got trauma, whether it be trauma from rape or the trauma from this system in and of itself.
Hmm.
Sisters who are just have negated a part of themselves, and so I'm about retrieval and
Hmm.
enabling people to walk in the fullness of who they are.
Hmm.
I applaud you
Retrieval. I
for
like that.
doing that. Yeah, yeah. Unification, the unified
Yeah.
field. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you
How
so
about you?
much for spending time with me
My
in
pleasure.
terms of just my path forward, what I got
Yeah,
going on.
yeah.
So there's a couple things, in the works that I've been putting my energy towards. One of them is building out a community economic system
Mm,
where, there's a couple things already in place that I want to test out to see its efficacy working on a wider spectrum because I think that there's a level of connectivity
mm,
that we've lost with each other. And I think that while, yes, this quarantine has been great because it's allowed people to kind of dive deeply inside, there is work to be done in terms of understanding what we look like in the other person that is with us
mm.
and
Right.
being able to create together. I think that there's so many more beautiful things that we can create with our collective energy than with us separate. um, so kind of working to understand and build the knowledge of how to build out a community economic system. And there's a couple books that I'm not recreating the wheel here. I'm just trying to bring it into the current day to hopefully address a lot of the issues that we see oppressing certain groups of people, and it's just not something that I can not do. When we get those divine orders, I would call them. Obviously, we all have free will and we all have choice to go in the direction that we'd like to. But I think that this is the stepping stones to a return to, um, I keep saying a barter system just because I haven't come up with a better terminology yet. But I mean, why not use it? It, worked pretty efficiently back in the day. And I know you and I have had these conversations where, yes, there is this economic system that exists currently in the United States where not everybody has access to the same uh, amount of resources.
Yeah.
And I think that it's very important to create a system of actual, real, tangible value and real, tangible wealth so that we can kind of divert the focus from trying to, climb this ladder and gain this wealth that, in all honesty is actually pretty empty for in a lot of different ways. But actually then doing things that create value and add value to the ourselves in others.
Right.
So, doing a lot of studying right now, and bits and pieces. I've been having some great conversations like this one, but with also people within my community, starting on a small scale. To your point, individually first, where can we break down and tear down those systems within ourselves and how we're currently operating? And then
Yep.
how can we build out our pieces to the point where we're the authority, or we're the master in that specific field that we can teach to others, because these are things that we used to know and think about very deeply, community and the village and the tribe. And I think that a return to that support system is in order. So
In the spiritual communities, all these things that we're talking about are things that people are employing and have been employing. And they got the idea from us. So, so I'd like to honor us and continue to, and still, when I say us, I still keep the perspective. Granted, I'm a universal being. I've tasted of that, and so I want, I'm a humanitarian. I want an alienitarian, meaning like even the aliens, because there's other things, there are things
oh
that have
yeah,
not
they're
been
out here. they're
things,
they're out here.
and I'm like, but I'm like, cool, because I'm a thing to them as well. So I still maintain like
Absolutely.
everything exists. It's all good. And as we
Yeah.
exist together, how can we begin to exist and step into a higher dimensionality of our beingness? Because there's multiple dimensions that are occurring at one time, right? If we get into the quote unquote quantum talk, but like
Hmm.
the reality is that there's this. Let's just pretend, perhaps maybe there's 15 different, you know, dimensions of our being,
Hmm.
but ad nauseum, like 15 in one step, one one nugget. And
Hmm.
so we're on one
And
through
then
three.
15 of those nuggets that
15
make
of
up
those
the
expand
next
out
tier, and then
again in
right
the next. So
into
like,
infinity
so
and
like that.
perpetuity.
So we talk to fractal existence and like, you
Hmm.
and how that works, because we can look at that within ourselves, right? You
Right.
got the cells that make up the organ, but there's some things that they all have in common. And so I want my inner universe to be in harmony, so that that can reflect in my
Absolutely.
outer universe. And I think we're on a path to that.
Absolutely.
So anything that you need on my end, if you want to do some programs or whatever, or just like, yeah, like I'm looking into actually creating more containers and programs for people to journey, because I feel like continued support, that's a village mentality,
Yeah.
not you just learn how to walk, now go get it, get
Mhm. Mhm.
on your own,
Mhm.
get your
Mhm.
bootstraps, no,
Right.
like let me walk with you, just in case your
Right.
bootstrap come off, I can lend you my
Mhm.
my laces or whatnot.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate that. I
like,
appreciate this, and we will definitely continue to connect and grow and let this thing have tentacles that run deep into the core of the earth that fuels us.
magnificent. If there's a way, if you could tag me, I guess whenever you do the writing for these things, I'd like to share this on mine, or I'll find a
Yeah.
way to download it and then just I'll,
Let's talk offline because I don't know how to do.
uh, we'll chat. We'll chat. If you want to just catch up right after this, real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, and
Okay,
thank you to
perfect.
everyone that's watched. Hopefully, you're able
Absolutely.
to send you all the aloha,
Thanks for
fam.
joining. Yes. Alrighty.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Adios.
Aloha.
Peace.
Peace.